All right, guys, here is our 20-foot virtual mega tree. We're doing a screen with a projector in place of pixels. I did this year, last year, and it was a little different. I'm tweaking it a little bit this year. Trying to kind of perfect it. As far as I know, no one's done one of these before, so I'm kind of making this up as I go. Um, this is a basically made from a square screen mesh, just like our main screen. This is the same material, only what we did is we folded it into a triangle. And I had a local tent and awning store sew this all together for us. We made the shape, and then they went and sewn this up and added some grommets. Um, we're going to come up with a better way to do the base. Obviously, I didn't want to stick a bunch of money into making a nice arch steel base until I knew if it was going to work and until I kind of perfect it. So that's why we've got it's kind of cobbled as we kind of figure out how to do it. But this part of my yard is actually really soft. The ground is really soft, which makes this challenging because this thing is, you get 20 feet in the air, there's a lot of leverage pushing against here along with the wind. So this was kind of a challenge. So what we did, I made the base here out of, this is the top of a wood spool, those big wire, big spools that you see wire come on. That's the top of one of those. We've got some well pipe casing bolted down with some 5/16 lags for outriggers to help support it. And then on the back side here, we've got two guy wires coming down with 30-inch long anchors spun into the ground. Those are they've got like a paddle in them, and so they dig in and hold really tight. They go up. So this is 1.25 rigid conduit, just like the screen frame is built from. And uh, unless I special ordered an expensive pipe, I wasn't going to get one long enough. So what I did, I put a coupler in here. And of course, these threads, this is not enough to just stabilize this. These threads aren't very long. So that would be a weak point. So then what I did is I took another chunk of pipe, about two foot or so, I think. I cut a groove down it so that I could squish it together, and I shoved it in both ends so it acts as a sleeve inside of there, and then a couple of bolts on each side. So what that does is it transfers the tension from this point and it spreads it out over 3 or 4 feet of pipe there. Um, and then I used a standard tree topper for a pixel tree. And then I also added a 2 foot extension on top, which is just a rigid PVC pipe to support the tree topper. And then off the front to help hold the shape, these guy wires all along here, they stabilize the front to hold the pole up, and then they also form the shape of the tree. And then I just have a couple coming off the back, and then I added a third one just as kind of a safety cable, um, because that's a much stronger anchor. This one goes 30 inches down into gravel, so it's just kind of a backup. Um, so, and then this all goes into a 5-gallon pail that's bolted to the wood, filled with 60 pounds of concrete, and then a sleeve. And then I also added these 4 short guy wires that go into the sides of the spool, just to help reinforce the bolts. If the bolts in the concrete were to, or through the bucket that go into the wood, if those were to come loose, I got 4 wires here acting as a backup as well. Um, and then we just added um, a few small turnbuckles just to help stretch the screen down flat all the way. So ultimately what I want to end up with when I get a final design is a nice steel arch, and then I want to integrate these guy wires and turnbuckles all into one thing that comes down, because it'll be in a fixed position then. I'm kind of having to make this up as I go based on the ground and trying to get the shape right. So once we can do a nice permanent arched base, this will all be cleaned up and I won't have all these multiple turnbuckles in here. So, and then what happens, I don't have the projector box out here, but right around where that first arch is, there will be a projector box there. And what we do is I mount that projector sideways inside the enclosure. And when I model this in X-Lights, this looks like a big square in X-Lights, right? It's just a big square matrix. And then what I do is I take and I export that to an MP4 and flip it sideways in a video editor so that it projects the long way coming out. So that's it. So that's how we built our virtual Christmas tree. And it is, like I said, the picture on it is really actually pretty cool. And I will post some videos of it in action as soon as we get things fired up.